Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield myself as much time as I may consume. I want to first recognize the hard work of the Financial Services Committee under the leadership of Chairwoman Waters, and also the work and the commitment of Congresswoman Presley on the underlying bill. This legislative package reforms the credit reporting industry and improves consumer protections. Credit scores play a critical role in the lives and financial futures of American consumers. The information relied upon by the industry is personal to us. Things like when we were born, where we live, and where we work. This data is some of the most valuable information that we have in today's digital economy. It often is how we prove our very identity, if not existence. It's key to every aspect of our lives, from applying to college, purchasing a car, obtaining housing, investing in our futures, and eventually collecting retirement. Credit agencies have not adequately secured this data and have violated our trust. The most egregious example of this is the Equifax breach of 2017. This theft was not a high-tech cyber attack. The weaknesses in the Equifax systems were known, as were the fixes, yet Equifax failed to take action. The credit agencies have demonstrated that they are not able to secure their systems by themselves. It's time for Congress to protect Americans from threats against their credit history and the misuse of their personal information. My amendment, Mr. Chair, addresses this issue in two ways. First, it requires credit agencies to ensure they are meeting minimum training requirements for cybersecurity. Every major corporation and most federal, state, and local government entity understands that cybersecurity training is crucial and have established training requirements and standards. Credit agencies should do the same. Second, it gives the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau the authority to examine the cybersecurity protocols and training of credit agencies to ensure these agencies are taking appropriate steps to secure our critical personal information. This oversight will ensure that credit agencies are proactively adapting to the changing threats more and more institutions face in cyberspace. I strongly encourage my colleagues to support this amendment and the underlying legislation, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. For what purpose does the gentleman from North Carolina seek recognition?
I rise in opposition, though I'm not opposed.
Gentleman's recognized.
I'm happy to see my friends on the other side of the aisle take the same interest that we have on this side of the aisle in protecting cybersecurity and protecting consumer data. And I think it's great that this is a bipartisan concern that we share. This amendment reaffirms the data security concerns that Republicans have highlighted in the past with respect to credit reporting agencies, including back in February of last year, the last time we had, actually the only time we had a hearing in the House Financial Services Committee on the credit reporting agencies. We want to ensure that these credit reporting agencies protect our data. The collection and maintenance of our personal information and exposing that to risk is deeply problematic. All we need to do is look back a few years ago to the Equifax breach to understand how vital cybersecurity standards are, not only at the consumer credit reporting agencies, but across the financial sector. I appreciate the gentleman from Maryland using the language from my substitute amendment that I offered before the Rules Committee and before the House Financial Services Committee and incorporating it into this amendment. I'm disappointed that the rest of the bill was not as bipartisan as this amendment and this amendment text. And since this bill is not going anywhere, I'd ask whether or not the author of the amendment would be interested in drafting a separate suspensionable, I think a wide bipartisan support, a suspension-worthy version of this as a standalone bill. I'd be happy to yield.
I don't share the gentleman from New Jersey's pessimism this early in the game, so I'll reserve judgment and a response at the appropriate time.